Would you think it practical to pray for more daylight when the darkness of night is settling in? And would you make dua to Allah over and over again for more daylight, even as the darkness continues to settle in and becomes fully night? Would it make sense to pray for that? And then if it's not answered and you don't get your daylight when you wanted it, would you get angry at Allah? Would that make sense? And I think most of us would say no, because it's a thing untimely. We understand daylight runs out at a certain time, at a certain time of year, and night comes every single day, and you have to give up between the two. I mean, they switch. So we don't expect to get our dua answered how we want it at that time. We have to wait for the morning, just like everybody else. Let's think about the way we accept Allah's mercy and Allah's blessings, and even Allah's ease from pain and adversity and hardship, and think about that, and if it's timely. But how do we accept Allah's gifts, and how do we accept Allah's reality, really, that comes to us? So the 11th century saint and scholar Abdul Qadir Gilani says there are two conditions by which a person should accept Allah's reality, what He gives to you. There are two ways. The first way is to accept it like a dead body accepts the funeral manager's hands that come to wash it. Basically, you're laying there and there's nothing you do. There's no active anything. You just accept what comes to you in this life. And he says that person, if he's good, he will pour forth praise when something good happens to him, and when something bad happens to him, he will administer patience. He will continue to be patient. That's the best in that condition. But he receives it like a dead body. He doesn't thrash around or struggle against it. He just takes it. He's just there. The other condition, Abdul Qadir Gilani says, to accept the reality of Allah is an active one. To make dua, to supplicate, to make prayers over and over again, asking God to change this, to change that, to help. But it should be humble, he says, a humble entreaty, to ask carefully and humbly and thoughtfully and respectfully, and knowing Allah is the greatest, and knowing Allah can fix anything, but to make it easy for you. And he warns us, he says, do not fall outside of those two bounds, because if you do, then you get Allah's wrath. And he says, how strange it would be to be angry with your Lord, or to blame Him for find fault with Him for not giving you something when you want it, no matter how many times you pray for it. Maybe it's untimely. Maybe it's untimely as asking for more daylight when the night is descending. You don't know it because you don't know what's ahead of you and behind you and inside and out. Allah knows all dimensions and all realities. But, for us, we don't know that. So it might seem like, why hasn't God answered me yet? Why hasn't He given me this yet? But if you never become angry with Allah, because it's kind of pointless, first of all. But second of all, it derails your connection with Allah too. And then Allah has to test you further to say, well, this slave is not, understanding the reality of things and is not being patient. So you have to go through further tests. And Abdul Qadir Gilani says Allah may snatch away what you already have. You're not grateful for what He's already given you. He may get it snatched away to further bring you back to Allah because you're angry at Him for something, for not giving you this or for not easing your calamity. So he says the best way and what you should do is you should always exhibit a spirit of cheerfulness, a cheerful submission to Allah. And know that when a thing reaches its appointed time, Allah will give it to you. And also know that if you don't get it in this life, that he quotes the Prophet, peace be upon him, by saying, there will be many believers in the judgment day that say, well, wait a second, in my book of deeds, I didn't do these deeds. These aren't my deeds. And they'll be told, these are your deeds. You were asking for all kinds of things. You were making dua to Allah. were worshiping Allah through dua, asking in the dunya, and Allah did not give it to you, and He's shy now to make sure He gives it to you in this life because you asked, and He is the most merciful, He is the most abundant, He's the most gracious and giving, and so on. He will not hold back. It's just it wasn't timely in this earth. It was not timely for you or for Him, or it was just not right. So you want it anyway when it's eternal. So remember, maybe you're asking for something that's not timely even though you can't see it, but remain cheerful, have a cheerful spirit, and remember the two conditions. Either you accept what Allah gives you with praise or patience, or you make dua in a cheerful, humble way, in a positive way, without blaming Him or becoming angry at Allah to change your circumstances.